This show brings the temperature of sports to a whole new level. Whether it's a local opinion or a national agenda, everything is fair game. Remember, everyone has an opinion, but only few can back it up. Now sit back, crank up the volume, and if you think you can handle it, get ready for the heat.
And welcome everybody to the Heat Ratio live show tonight, Heat Ratio Sports by Rise and React Media. This is episode 152, and tonight, Tony Jigsaw Cotillo, Coach Dave Dixon, Mikey Googs, and we have a special guest. I keep telling you guys, we'll bring you special guests every week as much as we can, and I have to say, it's a very, very good one. Marc Farzetta, at Marc Farzetta of the Farzy Show, live right from the Steven Singer Studio. Okay, we have a local guy. This is an Archbishop Wood alum. This is Temple made. Archbishop Wood, by the way, shout out state champions, or not state Catholic champions. Delaney Finnegan, Noel Baxter, shout out to them, local kids that we know. And Mark, thanks so much for joining us here on a Tuesday night. You're everywhere, man. You were doing a post-game show last night. You're doing a morning. I mean, everywhere I look is Marc Farzetta. Welcome in, man.
My goal is to make you as sick of me as possible. So I try to get on every platform imaginable. You're going to walk out of your little studio there, and I'll be right outside the door. And guess what? Round two. So that's just how I like to operate. But thank you for the kind words. Great to be on with you guys. I appreciate it. Great setup. You guys look fantastic. This is fun.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I really do. I like the colors, by the way. I'm a big yellow guy, so I like the yellow in the background.
Well. It's the Philadelphia flag.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's what it is. That's the guy that designed it was like, well, it's a Philly show, so it's the Philadelphia flag. And I'm like, I'm not sure too many Philadelphians know the Philadelphia flag, but all right. Like, you know what else it is? It's if you remember when the Eagles dressed as the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets all those years ago, it was after the Philadelphia flag, which is modeled after the Swedish flag. For a reason I still have yet to discover, but there it is, and it's unlike anything else that we have in Philadelphia. I think maybe NBC Sports Philly uses a certain blue, but not of this hue, not of this bluish hue. Certainly not that yellow. So I love it, and I think they did a great job with the designing the logo. It was far better than the piece of crap I wrote on a napkin for the guy. Took a picture of, and then texted it to him and was like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And he's like, "Oh, that's adorable. I'll go for something that actually doesn't suck." And I was like, "Cool, thanks." So this is what he came up with, and we like it. Thank you.
It reminds me of that iconic Westbrook jersey. There
you go.
Right, that's it.
The old Frankfurt Yellow Jackets jersey that they wore.
Yeah, for sure.
They were, I'll tell you what, they were pretty horrific too, by the way. But that's right. When they wore those throwbacks, I'm like, what the hell are they wearing?
Well, the Eagles said, hey, we're going to have some throwback jerseys. And everyone went, oh, my God, they're finally going to do Kelly Green.
Yep.
And then they totally didn't do Kelly Green, and everybody was pissed off. They have become, looking back on, they have become more popular than, let's say, the day they actually wore them.
Yeah, I think you're correct there. But you're acting like the Eagles don't disappoint us, Mark. Like it's not like the first time we're going to be disappointed by Jeffrey Lurie and the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm really not surprised that they teased us and gave us nothing, absolutely nothing. Right? Mm-hmm. I can't. And let's get right into that. I don't want to spend a whole time. We're going to go kind of round the carousel. Everybody knows where it's all little Sixers, Eagles, Phillies, and then we're going to have a little thing I call Fun with Farzy. Get on his mind, little something different. So right into the Eagles. Word breaks out, Jalen Mills is gone today. I can't believe he got the money he did, but I like Jalen Mills. I was a Jalen Mills guy. I thought he could have been very serviceable for this team as a number 2 corner, or maybe even a number 3. Thought he played out of position last year. Were you kind of surprised that they kind of just let him go and they didn't even try to talk to him?
I didn't. So I hadn't heard anything about them trying to keep Jalen Mills, and it seemed like everybody was 100% sure that Zach Ertz was going to play his last down, or had played his last down with the Philadelphia Eagles. And then right after that, it seemed like most people were pretty sure that Jalen Mills had played his last game as an Eagle. So Ertz was definitely the guy out, and Jalen Mills was probably the guy out. So I wasn't surprised that he signed elsewhere. $9 million guaranteed, 4-year deal. what is it, 26 overall. And then you look at the money Nelson Aguilar got too. That's a whole other thing. But as far as Jalen Mills, I love the fact that he always competed. I was a big Jalen Mills fan. He wasn't the best. I think number 2 corner is a proper spot for him. The safety position did not work out. They ended up bringing him down in the box a lot of times, similar to the way they did to some other safeties that weren't maybe that comfortable being the deepest man on the field anymore. They started using him a lot like they used Malcolm Jenkins. It's just unfortunate that Malcolm Jenkins is a pretty damn good safety, and Jalen Mills was not. He always competed. He never hung his head. I know people got pissed off at the finger wag. I interviewed and talked to Jalen Mills a number of times, and I just always liked the fact that he was always ready to make the next play. You have to have a short memory. Same thing in baseball. If you're a closer, you have to have a short memory. Jalen Mills certainly had a short memory, but he just wasn't good enough. I don't fault the Eagles for not spending more money to keep him. Instead, try to get something that maybe you could start over with, somebody that can blossom and maybe hit a higher ceiling than what Jalen Mills was going to be able to. But I'll tell you this, I really knew he was going to leave Philadelphia, that he wasn't coming back, when I followed an Instagram story and it looked like the green was growing out of his hair. And I was like, well, that's it. It's over. See you later, buddy.
I see now. You tweet that out. I was laughing because it's true. You look at those little signs, right? You look at the little signs and you talk about moving on. And that's the crazy thing with this team, that there's name a guy under 25 that we have promising talent for on this team. There's not many. And you know, it's such a mess to me. It's a disaster, really. I cannot believe that 3 years ago we were down Broad Street drinking Miller Lights. You know what I mean? It's just amazing that this whole situation unfolded. And then you look at the head coach, and I'm curious what your opinion of this, because I feel like this wasn't the guy they wanted. And they hired him based on the fact that he was going to fix Carson. And then Carson was like, yo, I'm out. And now they have a guy, you haven't heard from him. He hasn't been he is like ghosting everybody. And they're thinking to themselves, what did we do here? And now they're all screwed up.
Yeah. Right now the Eagles are in a spot where they were surprised that Doug Peterson kind of put him on the table and said, you know what? This is what I want, my way or the highway. And Jeffrey Lurie probably, once he picked his jaw up off the ground, thought, well, the highway. And then they had to find another head coach. And that seemed like something that was it took them by surprise, to say the least. So when they found Nick Sirianni, I think they had a guy that will be a yes man. And I know that's not a nice thing to say, but bottom line is Jeffrey Lurie is still going to be allowed to, and I love saying this, be a meddling football owner. And Howie Roseman's still going to be the guy pushing the majority of the buttons, and Nick Sirianni is going to be the guy going, okay, yeah, sounds great, guys. I mean, how do you expect us to interpret when a head coach is being introduced as your next head coach, first-time head coach? How do you expect us to react, and how do you expect us to interpret when he's asked about final say on game day roster? And he goes, well, I'm pretty sure Howie will have the final say on the 53, and I think I'll have the final say on the 47. How have you not worked that out already, man? You already signed the deal. You're already at the podium addressing the media. How do you not know the answers to these questions? You're pretty sure? And it's like Howie was like giving him Morse code with a flashlight, being like, just say no, just say no. And he was like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. And I want to give him a chance. He's been in the league a long time. I think there's something to be said for the way he's worked his way up in the NFL and for the way Frank Reich has spoken about him. It's funny. I always listen to people, whenever they say nice things about somebody else that worked for them, you can tell when somebody is giving you BS and when someone's being sincere. Usually when they're being sincere, it's like oh my God, I can't believe that I'm going to be losing this guy. Or I'm so lucky that I was able to get this guy. Such a phenomenal young talent. If he's somebody that's kind of forced upon you, it's just like, yeah, he works hard. Man, ooh, boy, does he work hard. Next question. You know what I mean? When they pontificate and they go on and on about how much they like the guy, I tend to believe that person more.
I completely agree. Absolutely. And then the other part of the interview was when he said, I haven't really watched the film yet. And I'm thinking, what did you look at to make you think you wanted this job? Right. It was just, it's such a weird dynamic, the way this entire thing unfolded. It really is.
Are you really that surprised?
No.
I mean, that press conference was it's easy to sit up here and say that it was a train wreck, but I don't even know what that was. I remember sharing that on my Facebook page saying, this cannot be real. This isn't really happening, right? I mean, out of all the crazy things that have happened in the last year, this is the guy that the Philadelphia Eagles hire. And who knows, maybe the guy's an amazing coach, But that press conference, man, he really came out stumbling. And I don't think this is the kind of city that you want to do that. And then coincidentally, Doug Peterson opens up his mouth for the first time since being fired today. I don't know if you read his quotes today, but
I listened to a great podcast. John Clark did a great job with that.
I didn't hear the podcast, but I just I read some of the quotes and what he was saying, and I'm just curious on the timing that he comes out now. But there was a comment earlier, and somebody had said, and I don't know who it was, so forgive me if I didn't see your name, but somebody said that we really haven't heard much from NFL coaches this season. Everybody's sort of been quiet, so I don't know if it's a Sirianni thing. Yeah, exactly. Michael Joe made that comment. I don't know what's going on, but everybody seems to be quiet. But it just doesn't seem like it's a good thing.
No. I'll tell you what that press conference was. That press conference, to go back to it for a second, it reminded me of being at Archbishop Wood, and Mr. Blaney said, "Mr. Farzetta, front of the room, give us a synopsis of To Kill a Mockingbird." And I totally didn't read To Kill a Mockingbird, but I didn't want to fail. So I went up anyway, and I'm like, my favorite part of To Kill a Mockingbird, the lasers and the stormtroopers, they were the best part of To Kill a Mockingbird. Thank you very much. That's what that press conference was. It was somebody doing a book report that didn't read the book.
Yeah, well, I've been there before.
They didn't do him any favors. We know that.
I could see. I have a very similar story where my algebra teacher at Roman, Mr. McKeever, calls me up to the board and asks me to solve like some kind of quadratic equation, and I'm just standing there. It's 7:45 in the morning. I have absolutely no idea, and I actually tried to talk my way out of it. And he let me sit up there and suffer for about 15 minutes.
Well, I think you're seeing the common trait about what we were talking about, I think, before we went on. Italians won't turn down a challenge. We'll BS our way through anything.
That's for sure.
You got that right. You got that right. And Dave, listen, to your credit, Dave, you were calling this, and Mark, me and Dave argued at nauseam. He said this was all Jeffrey Lurie's fault. It was all the organization fault. And Dave, you were right, bro. I got to give it to you. You were right.
Well, first, I don't want to be right about this. So, I mean,
I hear you.
And Mikey Googs will tell you, we had a nice little chat on Facebook when somebody said something about Jeffrey Lurie, and I just put his comment, "Please sell the team." That was my comment, because that's where we're at right now, guys. And I hope, as much as our fans and the media can blast a team in our town, they deserve it right now. There's 32 teams in the NFL. Right. And it's not for long for a reason. That's what NFL stands for. Howie Roseman has been involved for 10 years. He's been through 3 coaches. He has 1 Pro Bowl player in the last 4 years, and he's gone. What NFL GM has a job still with that type of track record? I'll tell you right now, 0. And this guy does. Like, our city and our fans, to me, are taking a slap in the face. And you know how well we take slaps in the face. So Jeffrey Lurie needs to be called out on this every day, as far as I'm concerned. This is his puppet. It really is. Mark, you said it. Jeffrey Lurie, now it's coming out that he's been meddling in things that we didn't even know about. And he keeps Howie along so Howie can get the kicks in his stomach. That's the only reason why Howie's there, is so he can get the beating from the public. And Jeffrey sits back and just does what he thinks is right.
Yeah. There's no other explanation. I have to agree with you. We've had this conversation week in and week out. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, okay, you could say that there's all these other GMs that made the same mistakes that Howie Roseman did. That's for sure. There were tons of people that passed on Metcalf, but that's just one. That's one chapter of about 1,000. And it doesn't make any sense unless the guy is just sitting there as a proxy for Lurie to control his team. Again, I own $1 billion thing. I'm going to want to do what I want. But Lurie's the kind of guy that says, listen, I don't meddle. I let the football people do what they want. And then more and more it's coming out that he has his hands in the pie a lot. So I agree.
I put it this way. I think if Doug Peterson doesn't get fired, I think that both Doug and Howie are going into probably their final year with the team. Right now, this offseason, they'd be going into the final year. But because they blow everything up with Howie, you can't let Howie be part of the coaching search and then fire him 1 year into the new head coach's tenure. Yeah. And if Jalen Hurts goes out there and completely balls out and looks amazing, Howie ain't going anywhere. and if Howie gets Jalen Hurts his like a new toy, for instance, to play with, whether that be blanket on everybody, Waddle right now, whether that be somebody like Devontae Smith, whether that be Jamar Chase, whoever that might be, if you get him that new toy, then guess what's going to happen? They're going to look great, and Howie's going to look like a genius. And guess what? Then another unbreakable contract with Howie Roseman. So this year is still going to have a lot depending on it, but I don't think this will be the last year of Howie Roseman, regardless of. Here's what's going to have to happen. Jalen Hurts is no joke. Jalen Hurts is going to have to suck terribly for Howie Roseman to keep his job, or to Howie Roseman to get fired after this season.
Yeah, agreed. That's what they're going to do. They're just going to stick in more players. They're going to score some points. They're going to be better than what everybody thinks. Maybe they even win that weak-ass division. And Howie skates again. Because remember, no matter what, we have no idea what Howie Roseman tells Lurie at the end of the day. He may go back to him and say, look, you didn't think we were going to do it in 17, and all I needed was a couple of pieces. He may just be stringing them along, and Lurie's just dealing with it because, it's familiarity. And that's really what it comes down to it. I mean, we could sit here and speculate, but that's what we think. Because it can't be his track record. I mean, like, he didn't win the Super Bowl, but he's done so many boneheaded things. Right. At the end of the day, the guy survives. He survived Chip Kelly. He survives. The guy's a survivor.
I keep saying he's got an OnlyFans account somewhere that we just don't know about. Something's going on. I don't know what it is, right?
Are we the only team in the NFL that takes I say this a lot, the cap hit on a kicker? We have a cap hit on our place kicker.
We've never seen that before. That's a first.
I mean, and this guy's supposed to be good with the money. He's supposed to be good with the money.
Yeah, we said that a million times. The bean counter, the guy that interned under Howie Roseman, under Joe Banner, which was considered at the time the greatest guy to manage the cap ever. We're in all these problems with the salary cap. But today I found out that we're maybe a couple of million under because of
the restructuring. Yeah.
Oh yeah, geez, great.
Huge
$2 million under. Yeah.
And who gave him the contracts in the first place?
There you go.
Howie Roseman, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, here's the thing. Let's go from some complete dysfunction to one. I'm going to throw this image up here because this is where everybody's their heart was in their throat right here, right?
Not Press Taylor.
We see this, and right away, social media blows up. Oh my God, it's Carson Wentz all over again. This is it. We're done. Right? And I swear, I am not going to lie, because I never do. I literally was on the air with John on the Gambler, and I said, "Listen, dude, honestly, I think it's just a hyperextension. I think he's fine. Joel's like a big baby sometimes. He makes things way more, and they would have never picked him up and let him put pressure on his own legs. I got lucky. That's all I'm saying. I got lucky. But what I want to ask you guys, and Mark, I'll go to you first, is you mentioned Kyle Lowry earlier when we were off air, and we were talking about that ad nauseum. But I think the buyout market changes and the direction changes for the Sixers a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because even though 2 weeks, it's not going to be 2 weeks. It could be 3 to 4 weeks. And he is your big guy. So do you really want to go into the playoffs with a 50-50 chance that Joel is extremely healthy? I mean, don't you want to get another big man now instead of just going with Howard and Campbell? Like, I would seriously look at a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge and say, maybe, because what's the worst that could happen? You cut a guy like Campbell and you're Tony Bradley, and you're stuck with Dwight Howard, Aldridge, and Embiid. So do you think this changes the direction at all because of this injury?
I honestly don't. And I think it'll really come to fruition maybe in the next week here with the trade deadline being less than 10 days away. I don't think it changes too much because I think the Sixers were going to go, all in might be an overdramatic term, but they were going to make a move to significantly improve their team. I don't think that they were going to mess with the starting five anyway, so I think either way they're going to look to improve their bench, and they're going to make sure they have somebody other than Dwight Howard coming off the bench to spell Joel Embiid if that's what it comes down to. But the buyout market will be there. The trade market won't necessarily be there. I think they bolster this lineup with the bench first and foremost because I think they love what their starting five is doing right now. And if this team can keep on doing what they've been doing without Joel Embiid in the lineup, oh my God. Like, this might actually hurt Joel Embiid's chances in being the MVP of the league with how great they're playing without him. But if you have Seth Curry and you have Danny Green knocking down their shots with some consistency, and don't get me wrong, they've been wildly inconsistent, Danny Green more so than Seth Curry, then this team is the real deal contender to win an NBA championship. Without bench help, consistent bench help, I don't think they do that. So I think at the deadline, I think they still go out there and they get somebody maybe like a Wayne Ellington, whose name has been out there for a little bit now. I know Adam Lefkoe, when I had him on the show last week, he had mentioned how much he liked Wayne Ellington. I think that's a name that might be able to come in here and give you what you need off the bench for this basketball team.
Now, see, I disagree. And I still think I'm deeply concerned with the Brooklyn Nets. And I think everybody's looking past this team. And I'll just give you the reason why and give you my analysis is that I look at the Philadelphia 76ers, and they have Joel Embiid hits 40. Tobias Harris maybe gets you 30. Ben maybe gets you 20. Brooklyn has 3 guys that can get you 40 on any given night. So even if you lock down Kyrie, you lock down Harden, you start to deal with Durant, and now you have Blake Griffin, and you're probably going to have Andre Drummond as well. So I still think we need so much more because Danny Green, Seth Curry, they're bench guys playing starter roles. And in my opinion, that has to change. I hope I'm wrong. I would love them to go all the way. I'm concerned about the competition because I just don't think we have enough firepower.
You should be. You should be concerned. The Nets, like, here's the thing I worry about with the Nets. Like, even when do the Sixers play them again? Like April 15th, 16th, something like that around there?
It's coming up.
All right.
Mid-April, I think. Whatever
happens in that game, they'll probably go to try to really win that game, the Nets, and they'll look at it like a playoff game because they're going to try to get home court advantage, as we all know. But there's something about Kevin Durant. There's something about the superstar type guys of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, as well as James Harden in the playoffs. That's a totally different story. We see it all the time with LeBron James, where you see whatever team he's on, seems like they have that moment where they're scuffling along for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, like, wait, hold on, what month of it? All right, we're going to go play hard now. And I look at James Harden, I look at Kevin Durant, who's obviously been injured, and I look at Kyrie Irving in that same light. I don't look at the Sixers in that same light yet because I feel like they're at least aware that they haven't proven anything yet. Joel Embiid, you could talk about Defensive Player of the Year, you could talk about MVP, you've won none of it. Ben Simmons, you could talk about Defensive Player of the Year. You haven't been one yet. Tobias Harris hasn't even been an all-star yet, and he definitely holds that chip on his shoulder. These guys, I feel, are always going at 110% every single night, where guys like the Durants of the world and the James Hardens and the Kyrie Irving feel like they can take a step back, not necessarily go pedal to the metal, but when it matters most, you're playing a totally different basketball team. I will say the matchup I do like, if anybody's going to beat the Nets, it is going to be the Sixers. And that's not because it's a 1 seed and a 2 seed. That's because defensively, Joel Embiid, being a healthy Joel Embiid, and you said it yourself, Tony, he could be dramatic. So when he went down, I didn't think ACL tear. For whatever reason, I was comforted by J.J. Redick's words from a couple of years ago that I always go back to. Oh, my God, Joel Embiid's the most dramatic player I've ever played for. Oh, my God, what a drama queen. And for whatever reason, I take comfort in that. So when he went down, sure, I went, oh, God, no. But I think he's going to be okay. Something was telling me he was going to be okay. Him coming back 100% healthy, being the great defensive player that he is, being the MVP candidate that he is, with Ben Simmons, with a Tobias Harris playing consistent basketball and guys knocking down some threes, but still more bench help needs to be there. I think defensively they're the best matchup for the Nets. The Nets, I think, are still the better team, but I think the Sixers can move past them with the right move at the deadline.
That's a good way to put it. I like that.
It's the defensive matchup. Yeah. The Nets right now, they don't want to face the Sixers. I think they're confident they beat the Sixers, but I don't think they sweep the Sixers. I don't think they beat the Sixers in 5, maybe 6 games they beat them in. But the Sixers have a great chance of at least going 7 games with the Nets.
I like that.
Great. I agree.
I definitely like that. Definitely. It's a Doc Rivers effect. Really.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the other thing. Yeah, he's a great coach.
Yep. Yeah. What a change. What a change.
I'm glad you bought what I said because I didn't. I don't believe any of it. I'm kidding.
I literally did. Like, so because when you put it like that, you even said, you're like, listen, they most likely, they could, not most likely, like I say, they 50-50 could lose, maybe in 6 games, right? But you brought up the defense and the offensive factor. So when you take them and parlay them off each other, I can absolutely see the full picture.
And I'll say this last thing. Ben Simmons flat out played James Harden like James Harden was trying to take his job.
Yeah.
And you will talk about motivated Ben Simmons?
Yeah.
Woo, I never seen him more motivated than in that game.
So that's the thing that I think in a 7-game series, I think these young Sixers are way more physical. And those guys that you named, other than Blake Griffin, and Blake doesn't even like to play physical anymore. He's more of a perimeter player. Mm-hmm. I think we have the advantage there. And in a 7-game series, listen, like you said, Tony, those guys, they're going to be nights where you can't stop them. They're going to rain threes. It's going to look like, oh, my God, we can't stop nothing. But in a 7-game series, I believe that we have a shot, and it's because of physicality, and it's because of Doc Rivers. But I do believe they do need perimeter defensive help, and I think a Kyle Lowry helps that tremendously. He's a leader. He's a great defender, and I think he would be a huge asset in a trade deadline for the Sixers for that reason. And for that team. against that team. In other words,
You're right. And we can make those trades. I mean, where's Danny Green? Where's he at in terms of his contracts? I mean,
he's in my car getting ready to Uber right to town. That's where he's at right now.
Attractive, but Daryl Morey, I think he's going to do something. I mean, he needs to.
Definitely.
The bench has been pretty hot, but you don't want to rely on them, right? I mean, that's not going to last. I think we all know that, right? But I think he's going to make some moves. I think he needs to make some moves, and I think he knows that. This is a great GM. He'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll definitely make some moves.
Yeah, we'll do something.
Definitely.
Who doesn't love Korkmaz?
Well, he's just hot right now, but everybody.
Korkmaz needs to find a good barber and a decent shoe game, and then he'll be okay.
Because still in that Korkmaz shoe game, you still think it's weird. It's weak. It's weak sauce.
He's rocking the Turkish fade, and that went out. That went out a while ago.
Exactly. So we want to go all the way around because we only got a couple minutes left. So I want to get a couple of fun with Farzy. But before I say that, just want a real quick tidbit on the Phillies because there's a guy named Mickey Moniak that's actually starting to play a little bit. And I'm one of these guys, and Mark, the number's 80.5. And I honestly think they can win 90 games this year. I really do. I think Zach Eflin has a tremendous year as a number 3. I really like Alec Boehm. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think the lineup goes 7 or 8 deep. I really like a lot. And then again, we just talked Doc Rivers. Let's talk Joe Girardi. A big difference when you have a leader like that in a clubhouse, right?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I love Alec Boehm. I love his game. He's got to get better at defense. I think we all realize that. But as a hitter, oh my God, that guy is so ahead of his time. Ahead of his age, wise beyond his years. Mickey Moniak, I know a lot of people were down on, but they were down on him when he was 16 years old. Damn, give the guy a chance, right? Let him be able to vote in an election first before you start casting him off. I interviewed Mickey Moniak 2 years ago, I think it was. 2 years ago. And when I stood next to him, he was all swelled up. Like he had really hit the weights. And that's when you started to see him putting on some weight. This year, I think he added even 10 more pounds of muscle. And he looks like he's ready to go out there and be a big league ball player. He's 22, 23 years old now, maybe. And he looks like a man now that's ready to take on the game. Hitting the ball well in spring training, moving well in the outfield. He looks like a guy that's ready to take on that next step of his MLB career. And I hope he does. I'm rooting for him. And look, not just because he's a number 1 pick, but the guy has put in the work. So I'm hoping that you see this first overall pick really come to fruition for the Phillies because he's putting the time in the weight room and he's obviously put the time in the batting cage as well. And you're seeing it start to come together for him.
He slammed the ball on Sunday. Slammed it.
Yeah.
Hey, 2 home runs, 2 weeks ago? 2 home runs, 1 game?
Yeah, he's playing really well, man.
Yeah, and to answer the question, I have the Phillies at 86 wins right now. I have them at least playing the good old meaningful games in September. I think they will. I think their bullpen has improved. I think their rotation's going to be okay. And this lineup, I think Bryce Harper is in a spot now when he hears especially a guy like Larry Bowa say this. I think he's in a spot right now where he goes, wait a minute, hold on. How come I haven't been in the MVP conversation for a while? Let's get back in that conversation because that's why they signed him here in Philadelphia, to be a perennial MVP candidate. Hey, they had Roy Halladay come to Philadelphia to be a Cy Young candidate. He came here. He won a Cy Young. I want my Bryce Harper Phillies earned NL MVP. That's what I want from Bryce Harper.
I like that. Listen, I was all in on the Bryce MVP train before COVID. I was hoping last year was going to be the MVP year. Then COVID struck, and it is what it is. But I like that 86. I'm saying the same thing. I'm like 88, 89, maybe with a good bounce, a good play. It's 90, but I think they're better than what people are giving them credit for sure. I think we can all. Yeah,
they improved the bullpen. No one's going to believe that they improved the bullpen until they see the bullpen come out and not suck at being a bullpen. That's the only way it's going to work.
That would be me. I want to see that, definitely.
That's great.
Listen, you gave me goosebumps, Mark. I'm hoping that's all true, and I'm hoping for that. I love our Phillies, and I like Segura is going to be solid. He's staying at second base, correct?
Yeah, he's staying at second base, yeah. Kingery's the utility guy again.
I love this. That's Segura's natural position, and he's trimmed down still. He's still keeping the weight off. He's a phenomenal infielder. If he gets back to hitting, I think people don't realize he was a perennial 300 hitter before he came here.
Yeah,
every year, an all-star 300 hitter. So if you get back to that with him and the rest of that lineup, oh my gosh, it should be exciting. They're in a very tough division. You guys know that they are in a tough division, in my opinion.
Hardest in baseball, in my opinion.
Tim Kirchin called it the hardest one in all of baseball.
Yeah, so
it definitely is. It definitely is. But let's get to this, because this is what I'm waiting. This is the fun stuff, right? So we go around the horn. Okay, we hit on all three. We're not going to talk Flyers because Mark did enough talk with the Flyers last night with Raleigh Cote and Hunter Brody, right? We got the quad box going last night for the post game. But I want to do a little fun talk with Farzy here, where we pick his mind. Just a couple questions. The guy that's not the sports personality. Just who is Mark? So it's NCAA time. It's the bracketology time, and everybody's filling out their brackets. And I remember back in the day, I was a big A10 guy. I used to love to go to the Palestra. I feed off John Chaney against UMass, right? Against Lou Rowe and Marcus Camby and Aaron McKee, Eddie Jones. So I just want to know, Mark, your favorite March Madness moment or team of the past can be any year, any moment in your mind.
Wow. Well, I've always been a Temple guy. So anything revolving around John Chaney. My introduction to John Chaney was the John Calipari incident. And I remember
that was your introduction?
That was my introduction. Like, I was a little kid and my dad was watching it. And I remember my dad had the press conference on watching Calipari. And all of a sudden this screaming nut job comes running. And I'm like, who the hell's that? And my dad's like, rolls like, oh, that's Temple's. That's John Chaney. And I was like, holy hell. Fast forward 13 years. I'm sitting in a press conference as a student writer for Temple University. And it's the game following Ehemiah Ingram breaking the arm of John Bryant, Goongate, it later became known as. And I hear that same voice coming down the hallway, screaming and yelling, I don't want any more ACC officials. I don't want anybody out there calling illegal screens. Door flies open. Security comes in. There's John Chaney right behind him. Goes and sits down in a huff. And then got asked one question. And I don't even think he was actually asked the question. I think it was Mike Kern that tried to ask a question. And John Chaney came out. This is Goongate. Nothing related to NCAA tournament. Apologize. But anyway, I was in there as a student writer. So I was always just amazed by John Chaney. Definitely that moment with Calipari, because that introduced me to the guy that I would fall in love with as my university's head coach. But I really did. I know I'm a sucker for it, but maybe it's that Archbishop Wood education. Anything with Sister Jean. Sister Jean, now 101 years old. She's going to be going back to the NCAA tournament as well. Love seeing that. Good for her. The Christian Laettner moment. I've never been a Duke fan ever in my life.
Me
but
neither.
That happened at the Spectrum. I really liked Grant Hill. Threw the perfect pass, if I'm not mistaken. And Christian Laettner caught it, had that whole little shimmy, one bounce turnaround jumper. And seeing, regardless of who it is, if a non-Philly team is involved, seeing the Spectrum, seeing everyone go crazy in the Spectrum, whatever it was, 18,000 fans, is something that will always move me. And that's where it happened. So that's got to be one of the moments that I'll never forget. And the Pepe Sanchez-led Temple Owls, one of my favorite teams of all time, definitely.
Oh, look at that. We've got a Pepe reference on this show.
Right, we do.
I'm loving it. Now, Mark, I know you're a Temple-made guy. You're Archbishop Wood guy. You're a Philly guy, because you've been in the industry. But I got to know, man, we talked about Korkmaz earlier, having a bad shoe game. But growing up, we're all around the same age, it was nothing but kicks back in the day. I mean, it was I waited in the line for Olympia down Frankfurt Ave. I went to Joseph's, which was the Chinese store that actually had them in plastic. I wasn't even allowed to touch them when they came out. But I want to know, were you a Nike or were you a Reebok guy? Because they both had their own nice brand back then. And we're not talking about Filas, but Nike or Reebok, what one were you?
If it was one or the other, it was Nike, because Nike made a cross-trainer high-top shoe that you could wear as a basketball shoe. And I swear to goodness, those things were the PF Flyers of my day. Like, those were the Benny the Jet Rodriguez, run faster, jump higher type of shoe. And they had these little tiny grips on them that I would always be determined to wear off. Like, if I worked hard enough, these things would wear off. And sure enough, probably between my 7th grade year, 8th grade year, 9th grade year, and 10th grade year, I probably went through at least 6 pairs of those shoes. I loved those shoes that much, and I felt like I got better in them. They were Nike Cross Trainers, and I've looked for them, and I can't find them. They're gone now. But I do remember my freshman year's shoe at Archbishop Wood, freshman basketball. We had the brand new Kobe's, and those were some cool shoes. Those were black and white shoes. I think Adidas made them. And yeah, we all had those. But I was between Reebok and Nike. I was a Nike guy.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the cross trainers because my first pair was the Bo Jacksons. Was the orange, blue, and white, man. I wore them all day, man. I thought, look at me, Bo knows Bo, man. I'm a rock star. I was a rock star. All right, 2 more. We get you out of here on this. Number 1, it's been COVID, so nobody's been going out. So your favorite meal other than Italian, your favorite COVID meal during this whole pandemic that's not Italian. Because that would make it too easy.
That would make it too easy. So anyway, homemade braciole. So anyway, after that, my wife's family are all a bunch of Costco. What's the proper word for it? Militants. There you go. They just swear by Costco. And I wasn't a Costco guy. I wasn't a Sam's Club guy. I was an Acme guy, right? I was raised on Acme and Gennardi's. Those were my places. And Altamonte's. But anyway, not Italian. Anything, if it was not Italian, it was the Costco. My COVID Costco go-to was the chicken pot pie.
Oh, wow.
Now, I was told don't look at the nutritional facts, but
because there isn't anything in there. Right.
It's just lard. It's lard, and there's so much salt in there already. Forget about it. But I can't help it. I just a little sprinkle of truffle salt over top, and I eat that for a week. I love it. It's that's my favorite COVID meal throughout the whole last year of my life. It was the Costco chicken pot pie. Delicious.
I love them. They're homemade too. They're nice and big. They're very scrumptious, so to speak. But here's one of my favorite. One of the last one. We'll get you out of here on this. And what we want to know, because we ask our guests this, because we talk about not only sports but music and culture, and we're big music guys. And we want to know, what are Marc Farzetta's go-to songs on his playlist that give him a jump start? Say it's Hugh's Day tomorrow, and it's going to be a busy day. Right. You're going to deal with Hugh first thing in the morning. What are your favorite songs on your playlist to go to get you started?
Well, right before I came on Heat Ratio Sports, I just played my playlist, man, just to get ready for you guys. So I am a real weird dude when it comes to music. If you're talking about the pump-up songs, really like Ludacris, particularly the remix he does with that Austin Powers John, that really slapped. The one that's like 20 years old, number 1 spot. Love that song. Frank Sinatra, Mr. Success. Love it. Anything by Louis Prima, because if you listen to Louis Prima...
Oh, my gosh, no way.
If you listen to Louis Prima and you're not smiling, you're a damn communist. That's all I got to say.
Oh, Marie.
Oh, Marie. That longing to be. Oh,
that's
baby.
awesome.
Anyway, what else? And also his version of Pennies from Heaven. Phenomenal. Shout out to my Uncle Ray. What else do we got? And then, Weezer.
I love Weezer.
Beverly Hills.
They
I don't know what they're singing. They're singing about Beverly Hills. I don't care what they're singing about. I don't care. They could be singing about like how great veganism is. I don't care. The beat to that song and the drums in that song are so damn awesome. That's where I'm at. And then, you got to go with oh God, what's his name? Conti. Was it Bill Conti? The Gotta Fly Now Rocky soundtrack. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think you hit just about every musical genre out there. You went from Weezer to Ludacris to Louis Prima.
Yeah. Wow. I'm a weirdo, man. I am a weirdo. Yeah,
man.
I know, right?
I thought I was bad going from like Wu-Tang to Guns N' Roses to Randy Travis, but man, that's all over.
That's a similar trajectory, my friend. Yeah. That's very similar.
Louis Prima.
I'm all over, man.
Mark, Louis Prima
that was a little bit of a right hook with the Louis Prima thing, Dave.
I love it. I'm more of a Louis guy than a Frank Sinatra guy, and people don't understand. I'm like, You listen to Louis Prima and you're smiling. You just can't help not to have fun.
My daughter is, I don't give people months, so I'll just say she's 1.7 years old. And she loves Louis Prima.
Yeah.
And my wife will be like talking to Alexa, and she'll be like, hey, play kids music, whatever. And I'm like, oh, God, play Louis Prima. And
Jungle Book.
Jungle Book. Oh, my God, forget about it. She goes nuts for the Jungle Book. She goes nuts for When You're Smiling. She goes, when he sings the song Angelina, I ate the antipasta twice just because. My daughter's name's Emanuela, so I change it real creative. You know, I ate the antipasta twice just because she is so nice. Emanuela. Anyway, but yeah, love Louis. You can't if you don't smile, there's something wrong with you while you're listening.
Absolutely,
they smile right now. They smile right now just talking about it.
My mother's name's Marie, and I've been singing her "Oh Marie" since I was in 8th grade. So,
beautiful. No, that's a great song. Yeah.
But Mark, listen, man, I really appreciate you coming on again. Everything Monday to Friday, 6 to 7. I mean, listen, I'm being honest, not because you're on the show, but you emulate because you've gone through every stage, right? You've gone through every audience, and now you're on your own doing your thing for guys like ourselves and looking up to people like that. We really appreciate it. So let everybody know where they can find you besides Monday to Friday because you're doing so many different things.
Thank you. So one of the things my agent and I had talked about before we started was just making sure we were easy to find. Social media platforms, YouTube, Twitch, my Twitter, people that follow me on Twitter. We tweet the show every day. There's also @Farzy Show. But if you just go to @Farzy Show on Twitter, we have the link tree right there that you can click on in the bio. FarzyShow.com. Easy. It doesn't get any easier than that, and that's the easiest way as well to find. One of the easy ways to find me. But FarzyShow.com probably is the easiest. But we are on YouTube. We are on Twitch. We are on Twitter through Periscope. We're on Facebook Live as well. And I'm the only Marc Farzetta on the planet. I found that out recently, so I am rather easy to find. It's been a blast so far. I've just thank you to guys like you that have been following it and all that stuff. It's just been a blast doing my own thing and just kind of having the freedom to do whatever the hell I damn please within an hour. It's been great, and it's on loop throughout the day. So whenever you're ready to consume the content, it's there for the taking. And I have had so much fun. I am wildly and pleasantly surprised by how it's gone so far. So thank you.
Well, you definitely look happy, which is a plus. So
excellent,
right? When you're happy and passionate, that's when you do your best work.
Well, I'm listening to Louis Prima as I'm coming down the steps. So I mean, how do I not be happy?
That can't hurt.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So for everybody out there, you see everything's right there. All Mark's information right there. Again, Mark, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll get you back on again. After the draft, and see what you thought about that mess. Hopefully, it's not a mess, but you never know.
We'll get each other through our tears. That's what we'll do after the draft.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, seriously, great job with your show. The setup looks great. You guys look great. You guys sound great. So it's my honor to come on with you guys.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
We're an
really
emotional support group for the Eagles, so just ring whenever you need to talk about it.
I appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
Good luck, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, fellas. Take it easy.
Marc Farzetta, everybody. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guest, man. Listen, that was great. That was absolutely fantastic. Guys, what's great about Mark is he's a normal guy, man. You know what I mean? Like when you talk to him, it's like me, you, and Dave having a complete different conversation. It doesn't even make a difference, right? He's just all world, man. I love that.
But you have to realize we also have a lot in common. We're all in Philadelphia. We all attended Catholic school. We all went through the same kind of crap, So it's easy to talk to people like that.
That is a good point, Mike.
Yeah,
that's absolutely good point. Were you surprised at the music, man? Were you surprised at the music?
The Louis Prima thing threw me for a loop, and then when Dave knew, I'm like, whoa, is there something I'm missing here?
You got Mikey Goose. You got to look up Louis Prima, man.
I'm going to be full transparent here. I have no idea.
Oh God, it's fun. It's like in the era. It's in the era of Frank Sinatra.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. But Louis was more of a fun partier. And listen, you're going to enjoy it. I thoroughly expect phone calls the next day when you tap into Louis Prima.
I'm gonna stream a little bit tomorrow, during work and check out Mr. Prima.
I might have to do that too while I'm sitting in my cubicle, playing in a job. But
could be worse. Could be worse.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I'm voting. I have no idea who Louis Prima is.
Okay, just Google him, dude. You're going to see right away. It looks like he's a member of the Rat Pack.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, man, I feel like I must not be a true Italian because I have no idea who that is. I'm kind of embarrassed if you ask me.
I mean, no disrespect to Mark, but who goes from Weezer to, what do you say, Ludacris to Louis Prima? That is that's all across the board. So I don't necessarily know if Italian has anything to do with it.
Andre says, "Come on, how I know about him and you don't? I only know Andre. I'll tell you, man. Look, all right, thank God. Like Bill Fleming checks in. Thank you, Bill. Tony, I never heard of me. Okay, I don't feel bad now because I know I'm not the only one.
Well, the only thing, Bill Fleming is an Irishman. You're a Dago, so you don't have.
This is true.
That's
this
great.
Is true. Yeah,
that's great.
We should have known who he was, or we should have been more familiar with who he was.
So let's we got about 15 minutes left here because again, I love when we have these guests on. It's their stage, and it was really cool to hear what he had to say. And right, very grounded guy, right?
Kudos to you again, Tony. You did a good job setting up the program and all the questions. It was awesome.
Listen, great interview, man. Definitely,
thanks, man. I appreciate that. I work with him, and here's what I want everybody to know too. Like, and again, this isn't a knock on anybody, but when you do these kind of things, it's a back and forth. I mean, I've talked to Mark for 2 weeks, going back and forth, trying to figure out, giving him exactly what to ask him, making sure all the plugs are right, the images are right. Like, you just can't have somebody like that on and be like, "Hey, what's up, Mark? Yeah, great to see you." Right?
Oh, no, of course not. Most people don't realize that the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes of with stuff like this, and obviously you do it all. I just show up and give you my idiotic reports and my emotional outbursts. So for me to even just be on with you guys, a bunch of talented people like this, is definitely an honor.
I'm with you on that, Gooks. Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Hey, man, we're all just enjoying the ride, man. That's all. Enjoying the ride. But let's talk a little bit about Fitzmagic real fast because
I was waiting for this.
I have to listen. Ooh. And here's the thing, and I'll tell you why. So I start doing Friday nights, because I'm a married guy with kids and I don't do nothing else on a Friday night. So I'm like, you know what? John Jansen was like, listen, you want to be on a line change every week on Fridays at 10 o'clock? Sure, what the hell? I'm not doing nothing. So we were talking about the NFC East, and I said, I am fully concerned about the Washington football team.
You should be.
If they get a quarterback. I'm not Tyler Heineke. Nah. I knew they were going to get somebody, right?
Right.
I knew they were going to get somebody. But honestly, guys, Mike, this takes them to another level. That team is very talented, and to have Fitzmagic, man, I think we need to worry. I think we do.
You want to talk about another survivor? I know we talk about Howie Roseman as a survivor, but geez, Fitzmagic, he just doesn't stop. He doesn't stop. And the guy is there a more streakier quarterback in football than this guy? I mean, when he gets hot, he gets red hot. I was at that game when the Dolphins beat the Eagles in Miami, and he just went crazy. I remember that game a couple of years ago. We were supposed to smash the Dolphins. And I realized the Dolphins were a lot better than what anybody thought they were. And I seen that guy. It was the only time I've ever seen him play live. But, man, when he gets streaky, he gets streaky. So, yes, I agree with you. I think they're a very dangerous team. I think the NFC East is super weak. It's a complete joke. And aren't they the favorites? They have to be the favorites, right? Fitzmagic puts them as the favorites to win the NFC.
I honestly think they were the favorites beforehand. But and again, I know Dave mentioned something about Dallas. We'll talk about that in a second because of as long as Dak comes back healthy, and they have a lot of good pieces too. But
but it's Dallas. You can't say anything about them. They just stink no matter what.
Well, number one, it's Dallas, and number two, it's Mike McCarthy or Ron Rivera, and I'm taking Rivera all day, and I'm taking Chase Young in that defense all day long for Washington.
But again, even if they had every Hall of Fame player on that team, it's still Dallas. They still stink. They're still going to be in last place. I'll never give them credit for anything, ever. I loved it when they signed Dak Prescott. It was great because I think he stinks. I love that he's on that team now for 4 years. It's the greatest gift. It was almost like when they kept re-signing Jason Garrett. It was like everybody was high-fiving because Garrett was the worst, the absolute worst. I never worry about Dallas because they're always going to. You know what the most consistent thing about the Dallas Cowboys are? They're always going to be the Dallas Cowboys. They're always going to do something stupid, and I never worry about them. But Ron Rivera, Fitzmagic, Chase Young, a lot of things to worry about on that team. I agree.
Dave, what do you think, buddy?
I think Fitzmagic, if you have a fantasy pick, he's great for 6 weeks, and then after that, it's a crapshoot. I think he's a phenomenal player he's like a retread, right? And Mike brought it up. He's got a lot of lives in him. I don't know if he can play 16 games for an NFL team at this stage of his career. He is going to be awesome in the beginning of the year, I think. If he gets nicked up, you're going to see the backup in there. Good signing for them, absolutely. I don't know if he's going to take them to the promised land. But going back to what you said, Tony, about the defense, their defense is, they're going to win games like 13-0 possibly. That's what they're going to do. They're a strong team with excellent coaching, and Fitz he's going to plug in for the time being.
Yeah, listen, it's all they needed. Honestly, it's really all they needed. And I'm not here. We're talking about the NFC East here, right? Mm-hmm. We're not. This isn't the NL East. It's the NFC East. So we don't have to worry about the Giants, right? We honestly we don't have to worry about the Eagles, right? Mm-hmm. So you're talking about two teams, and Fitzmagic could be enough to win the NFC East. Now it'd be different if he was in the NFC West, right? We'd be talking a different story, but he's not. But full transparency here, and this is kind of going away from the Fitzmagic news, but you talk about a guy coming out swinging haymakers in Bill Belichick, like all of us, like seriously, like that team, he could not stand seeing Brady, right? it. Number one, his team sucked ass last year, right? Number two, he watched Brady win again, get an extension, and Big Bill was like, you know what? I am not going down like that. I'm going full out. And man, I just can't. Are they going to go two tight end? Like, are they going to go really? And it's funny. I hear a lot of people, see a lot of comments. It's because Cam Newton can't throw the ball anymore. Stop. This is the sick, twisted mind of Bill Belichick. That's what that is, right? And think about it. He's going to go back to the Gronk and Aaron Hernandez days. Yeah. Right? This is exactly what he's doing. I mean, it's good. Mike, were you surprised that they spend so much cash? I should say, wait a minute, legal tampering. So they haven't really spent it yet, which is the stupidest thing in the world. But were you shocked?
No, because I think I agree with what you said. He's just pissed, because now everybody wants to look at his brand took a hit by what Brady winning the Super Bowl. His brand took a hit. He's an egomaniac, this guy. So he thinks he can just spend his way out. What's troubling to me as a Philadelphia Eagles fan is they're just signing all these ex-Eagles again. And every time they sign an ex-Eagle, the guy just goes crazy and blows up like Patrick Chung. I mean, the Jalen Mills thing doesn't bother you just because you just see Belichick just. Great. Yeah, exactly. Belichick grabs value, right? He sees the value, and I just feel like he did something with Aguilar and with, I don't know, man. The whole thing bothers me. But to get back to your original point, no, I'm not surprised at all. I think he feels like he can spend his way out of it, and if it doesn't go well, he's going to look really, really bad. But history goes with Belichick, right? And he seems to make all the right moves at all the right times. I am super curious about what happens to that team this year, and I don't know if they've considered themselves in a rebuilding year, and I don't pay much attention to the Patriots, so I don't know what they think they're going to do, but they're signing a lot of players. They're spending a boatload of money, so I guess they think that they can win now.
I think they can. I mean, I think they can, put it that way. Yeah. It all depends on the defensive side of the ball, right, Dave? Defense. What do they have on defense?
I mean, I can't. I'm sorry if I can't pinpoint players, but I know they're getting like 3 or 4 players back from COVID on defense that they lost this year.
That's true.
So they are going to be definitely formidable, and look what division they're playing in, right? It's a weak division for the most part, right? The Dolphins will be okay, but they're not happy with the quarterback that they have apparently. And you have the Jets still. So New England is going to be in the mix. So you get them to the dance and you never know what's going to happen. And them signing veteran-type players that have been there, done that type of thing, that's right up Bill Belichick's wheelhouse.
You're right about that. You're absolutely right. I forgot about the COVID factor. There was a lot of guys that opted out. I completely forgot about that because offensively, when Mike talked about Aguilar, one name came to my mind. Remember Jabbar Gaffney? He stunk What else? Right?
Stunk.
And he goes to New England and he blows up.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, Aguilar's going to catch like 12 touchdowns this year. You just know what's going to happen.
It's bothersome.
Yeah.
It's bothersome. Yeah. It's really bothersome because when he goes and he starts signing all these ex-Eagles, who's that other stiff that left here that he signed? He signed Eric Rowe. Eric Rowe had a really good career. Didn't he have a good career in the Patriots?
Yeah,
he had a good, solid couple of years. He was on a couple of Super Bowl teams. So, it just bothers me.
Dan says Newton's not good anymore. And by the way, everybody checking in, I apologize. Listen, I there was a ton of comments. I didn't read them, but as you've seen, I put them up all on the screen only because I had Mark for a half hour, so we didn't want to, go into the comments and kind of not be able to ask them the questions we set up. So that's why I put them on the screen. But Dan said Newton is not good anymore. I have zero faith in his arm, but who knows? See, I disagree. He is good. He's just not Cam Newton, right? He is good. I mean, the guy had double-digit touchdowns last year. He's doing exactly what he should do. The problem is, you're right, zero faith in his arm, which could be why we sat there and we're going to go with different style offense. And we're going to have Nelson Aguilar, who was a slot receiver, a Pro Bowl slot receiver for the Eagles in 2017. 2 double tight ends, right? Guys out of the backfield like James White. A running game with Sony Michel. I think this is why they're changing the makeup of this team, right? Unbelievable. Our boy Joe checks and says D-Jax would play 16 games at the Pats. Right.
Oh, exactly. My God.
Oh, and don't forget, what do you call it? Just signed. I know it's not the Patriots, but Sidney Jones just signed a deal today. Sidney friggin' Jones.
Oh, hey, how much he signed for? $100 million, I'm sure.
I don't know. He signed with Jackson.
Would it really surprise you?
I mean, I listen. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Oh, that's right. That's right. Janu Smith. Yeah, it's Janu Smith and Hunter Henry. I knew it was Hunter Henry. I forgot about Janu Smith. And what about you got Corey Davis signing for like $40 million with the Jets? I mean, they're just. I'll tell you what. For owners saying they lost money, they're sure spending a whole hell of a lot of bread out there, man. Yeah. Aaron Jones stays. Well, I mean, were you surprised Aaron Jones stayed in Green Bay? I was.
I mean, I don't know. What was the market for Aaron Jones? I know he's a decent player, but I don't know. They need a running back. They had to keep him. Don't you think?
Well, I don't think they did. That's why I was very. It was a head scratcher to me because. And I say this all the time. One thing that Aaron Rodgers never had was a solid offensive line. They've never protected. That's the reason why they call him the Magic Man, because he had to make magic happen. So they had A.J. Dillon, who they drafted. They were really high on. And even though Jamal Williams was a unrestricted free agent, still a guy that they were able to lean on heavily when Aaron Jones was out. So I think between the two of those guys, it would have been pretty formidable tandem. So instead, they're paying $50 million to Aaron Jones, and again, they don't look at the offensive line. And that's why I'm surprised. I think that for me personally, you win with the trenches. I hate to quote Andy Reid, but Mike, you know that he was a big guy. Start with the trenches, win within the trenches, and that's something that the Green Bay Packers just completely forget about. I'm sorry.
Agreed.
Bill says he moved the game manager. He's not the play. So Bill's talking about Cam Newton, right? And you're right, 100%. Now, what I will say is I think this was Williams. Oh, wow. See, Dan with a good point here. He says Jamal Williams was actually drafted ahead of Aaron Jones. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I'll tell you what, Jamal Williams was he's a nice piece, man. Like, I obviously I don't think he's a 25 carry guy. He's not a bell cow. But I'll tell you what, man, if you give a Jamal Williams like 17 to 18 touches a game, or even 15, I think he's very serviceable. He's a really good player. So, listen, here's the thing about the NFL this year. There's so many top guys that are going to be changing teams. The quarterback carousel, Jameis Winston now, Breeze retires. Jameis Winston now signs a 1-year deal. But I'll tell you what, I may be the most curious, I don't know about you guys, about what Jameis Winston does this year. Because I want to see, because I'm a Sean Payton guy. And I would love to see, has Sean Payton changed him? Right? Can Jameis Winston not be a 30 interception guy? Can he be a 30 and 10 guy? Can you imagine if he throws up 35 and 10? Mike, what do you think about Jameis Winston? You think he could do something like that? You think he's still the same old licking his fingers Jameis Winston?
I don't think he's salvageable at this point. I think he is what he is. If somebody maybe pivots him, maybe he can get a little bit more out of the guy, squeeze a little bit more. But I just think he's just gonna do what he does, and he's gonna revert back to what he knows. It's kind of difficult to get somebody to completely change their style, right? I think we've seen whatever we can with him. He's such a sexy player to grab because you think he's got all this stuff, right? And it's like, wow, this is definitely something that we can do. He's got everything. Something isn't right upstairs, man. I think.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I really do think something's wrong upstairs. I do with Jameis, but we'll see.
What do you
think, Dave?
But Sean Payton's great.
I don't think he's going to throw 30 interceptions. I think he's going to throw 35. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Came on +5.
I think you're right, Dave. Is there a reason though? I mean, there was a comment that just popped up. I don't know what it was, but it said something about game tape and film tape. You don't watch. Yeah, it's all about film study. Dan says if it's dedicated to the room, maybe. Well, does he have that rumor of not being dedicated to film study? Because I think there was some stuff floating around him. I don't think Sean Payton's the kind of guy that would put up with that stuff, though, man.
Because
he's not going to accept that. He ain't going to
never know. Never know. Well, we're going to find out, man. We're going to find out. Sure. It's a whole quarterback carousel this year. We've never seen nothing like this, man. It's crazy. Never seen nothing like this.
What was Taysom Hill's contract? Didn't he get some? What's that? Taysom Hill got some ridiculous. Did he get some ridiculous extension? Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I don't know what the numbers were.
It's something really crazy. And so, are they going to compete? Like, what's happening there?
That's a great question, Mike. You would think they have to.
It says on ESPN straight. Sean Payton expects Winston and Taysom Hill to compete for the new starting quarterback position. So,
I guess, right? 4 years, $140 million contract.
I was going to say,
what?
God, you want to see something funny? Watch Pat McAfee react to that. Seriously, it is.
I just don't get it, dude. I don't get it.
I don't get it at all.
It's a tough. There's only 32 spots in the world that position. It's a tough spot to fill. I mean, tough is an understatement, right? And that's why these retreads or question marks, they get chances because they hope they see this potential and they hope they can get to that a little bit.
No, you're right.
Every coach has an ego. Right, so every coach except for these two weirdos, but every coach thinks that they can fix it. Right, like yeah. I'm going to get the credit to bring this guy back to stardom. So, that's going to be Sean Payton's task, except for him.
Yeah, this is what do you think he's doing right now?
He's working at Rita's. He's working at Rita's.
He might be because. I still don't believe that story that they fed us saying that Doug Peterson really wanted Press Taylor.
Yeah, I don't believe that either. That's all crap. Dude.
That's all crap.
Fake
right?
news.
It is fake news.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think Peterson thinks of Lori? Because Lori cooked up that story about him, or Howie Roseman cooked up that story about him.
I'll tell you what, if you guys didn't see it, and Mark alluded to it, so John Clark it was actually his debut podcast. It's called The Takeoff with John Clark, and he had Doug and his son on. And so Doug's son's actually going into the draft this year.
Yeah, he's a tight end.
So I'll tell you what, it was a pretty good listen, man. Go check it out. It's a little different side of Doug a little bit. So you're right, Mike. I'm curious what Doug's thinking. He's such a good guy, even though I want to know. I'm not going to get into the whole tabloid thing, but I want to hear more about that secretary in Kansas City. That story got swept right under the rug. That's all I got to say. That was out for one day, and then all of a sudden you haven't heard nothing about it. So you know what?
Well, that happened. That was one of the reasons why Andy whisked him away. Tony.
Yes.
Because he was slamming the secretary.
You know what it reminds you of? Hey, did you watch Entourage?
Yeah,
of course.
Right. Remember what was that? What was that? Ari's friend, his best friend. Remember he was banging the secretary.
Oh my God. That guy was the best. What was his name?
I don't know. It was the secretary's name was Lindsay, I think, right? It was Lindsay, and oh man, you gotta look that up. I forget, but
hold on. I'm looking it up right now. We have to know. We have to know what it is.
Is it Peter? Was it Peter? They sound familiar. I don't know, but
I forget.
But it was so funny because
Gooch's reaction made me laugh.
Oh man!
Because I could see him looking all disheveled. That's the guy that fell asleep in Ari's office, right? And he woke up one morning. He was in his pajamas, just in a robe.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So let's do this. Let's face up with this.
Andrew Klein.
Yes, Andrew Klein. There you go. That's the name.
Pull up a picture of him and with his hair all messed up in his robe.
Andrew Klein. Here's.
That's not him.
Oh my God. How'd you pull that out like that?
See that, man? I'm on full surprises, man.
Quick.
Full surprises. Full of surprises.
Like a cat.
Yes. So let me ask you guys this. Let's do this. Let's have a little fun in the last couple minutes. So we have fun talk with Farzy, but let's go over a couple of those questions for us. Now we don't need to, but everybody knows our music. So let's just do a top three. So let's in the tradition of March Madness and bracketology. But by the way, shameless plug here, just for everybody listening, we do have a new partnership, okay, with the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame. So we will be giving away 2 bobbleheads every time they come out with a new one for the entire year. So that could be 10, 20, 30, who knows. But we're going to get the contest details soon, the way we're going to do it. But right now, it's Joe Lenardi, the bracketologist from ESPN. We have 2 that come out April 25th. They will come packaged in a box. Whoever wins, we will ship them out personally, straight from the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame. So pretty exciting stuff here. Just the first of many different giveaways that we're going to have. And again, it's not a coupon code. This shit's free. Okay. And it's legit. That's all I got to say. All right. So let's talk about March Madness. Dave, favorite either March Madness team or moment that you remember? And far as the good one with Christian Laettner, I couldn't stand Christian Laettner, but it's symbolic of the spectrum, of March Madness, watching him hit that last minute shot. But what's your favorite March Madness moment or team?
Well, so I'm not going to talk against or not pick the 2 Villanova teams that just won it. I mean, that I'll remove them and I'll go with my childhood favorite. And it would be, and we talked about this before, the UNLV Running Rebels. I loved everything about them. I thought their uniforms are awesome. I thought Jerry Tartanian was the coolest coach ever. Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon. I mean, those I loved. I thought they were awesome.
Give it to me, Dave. What's the starting lineup? Come on.
I remember Ackles was the center.
George Ackles, number 44. Greg Anthony.
Greg Anthony, I miss him sometimes for whatever reason. Larry Johnson. What did I say? Stacey Augmon.
Yep, and you're missing one guy.
Who is it?
Anderson Hunt.
Anderson Hunt. How could I forget Anderson Hunt?
Right.
Very good, Tony.
Yeah, that was my. It's funny because that was my team. So I was so pissed when Duke beat them. That Bobby Hurley, come on, man.
That was probably the most hated guy for me. I couldn't stand Bobby Hurley.
Like you and me both. Oh my God, I couldn't stand him. I really couldn't.
Funny.
Yeah, I didn't like any of the Duke players.
I was just going to say I'm not a Dookie. I don't like the Dookies.
It was hard not to like Grant Hill for me. I didn't like Laettner. I didn't like Hurley. Grant Hill. I thought
who was the wrong Hill? The stiff Hill. Thomas Hill. He was a stiff.
Yeah.
Remember?
Hill.
Remember him crying? He was crying. Remember him crying?
Wow. It's funny.
It was like we had the bad Giambi. He was like the bad Hill. Like nobody remembers Thomas Hill. You know
there's a show for you to do, Tony. Look up all the brothers that we had, the wrong brothers that we had.
Oh, there's a lot of
pro sports.
There's a lot of wrong ones we had, man.
Yeah.
Giambi's the first one that comes to my mind because we always Adam says Tar Heel's not. Tar Heels for me. That was my team. I loved North Carolina Blue, man. That was my. I loved the UNC Tar. I love Kansas too. Kansas is one of my favorite teams. And Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech and actually the old Arkansas teams with Nolan Richardson. Remember that team that had Corliss Williamson, Todd Day, Lee Mayberry. Yeah, they were some good teams back then, man. And Rick checks in. Oh, of course, man. The Fab Five. They did. And he's spot on too. He says they didn't win anything, but their long and baggy shorts changed everything. They changed the game. Rick, there's another one.
What was timeout?
Everybody forgets the one guy on their starting five on that team, man.
Yeah, right? definitely forget the starting five.
You got Jalen, right? You got Jalen.
You got Howard. Howard.
You got Juwan Howard. And then there's two guys everybody forgets, the two guards.
One was not Rick Jackson.
Ray Jackson.
Ray Jackson.
That was cool. And you had Jimmy what? You had Jimmy King.
Jimmy King. I forget Jimmy King.
And who was the shooter who used to come off the bench? The white boy wore the mask. I can't remember, man. I can't remember. Rick, who was the sixth man on that team? The shooter. I think it was like number 6 or number 7. Can't remember. If you got that, let us know. But Mike, what about you, man? College team moments. What do you got? Anything?
I guess the Fab Five was probably my favorite. Yeah. I mean, that's the go-to. But that was. Has there ever been a better group of freshmen ever in college basketball? I mean, the people that came out of there, man, that was it. I mean, you could say UNLV obviously were dominant, but geez, what about the Fab Five? Jalen Rose, Weber, who was it? Juwan Howard. King and Jimmy King, right? I don't forget the other guy. Who was the other guy? I forget. I don't remember his name.
It was Ray Jackson.
Ray Jackson. Yeah, Ray Jackson. There it is.
Yep. I'm trying to find who the guy was I was talking about, and I'm looking him up now, but I can't remember the guy's name. And Rick's giving me a question mark. Rick, I'll find it. Rick, I'm gonna find it. All right. So Dave. Were you a Reebok guy or Nike guy?
Nike.
So
I was Nike. I wore Nikes. I wore Nike spikes. Nike. Although I will say, my 8th grade basketball year for St. Cecilia's, I thought I was the coolest guy on the team. I had Adidas Patrick Ewings, orange and blue, same colors of the Knicks. I thought they were the coolest basketball sneaks out there. So that was my only Adidas stint. But that was, I was a Nike guy.
You were a Nike guy. I was kind of all over the place, man. And, Googs, I was like, I loved the Nikes because I loved the Jordans. Obviously, I was a big Jordans guy. But then the Reebok came in with the old school classics, and it was like, all right, I got to get a pair of Reebok classics. Everybody had to have the classics, like because they went with different outfits, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I never liked the white sneaker though. For some reason, I never liked a white sneaker. I don't know why.
Maybe because it got too dirty.
Yeah. That's a pretty simple one.
I mean, seriously. I mean, because I was a nut. I was a sneakerhead. Like I had the cleaners. Right, I literally had my mom and dad bought me an insert for the dryer that actually was like a shelf, right?
Yeah.
Because I would wash my shoes, take all the laces out. I would wash the shoes and I would put them in a dryer, and the thing would just spin around the shoes. And what you want to hear a clonk, clonk, clonk? Nah, they would sit there. I washed them once a week. Like, listen, my shit was proper. I can't. It really was. By the way, Rob Pelinka was the name I was looking for.
He was the shooter.
Yes, he was the shooter, Rob Pelinka. And Voskuhl. Voskuhl was the other name. It was Pelinka and Voskuhl were the two guys who called the bench and dropped some. So, also, before we get out of here, we're going to talk about shoes. Remember when Fila had their heyday with the straps, the Fila straps? Yeah. They had a different color soles. Remember them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had a few pair of those. That's for sure.
Yeah, man, they were listen, you were balling if you wore them. They were a game changer. They were definitely.
We also had Troop sneakers. Remember Troop?
Oh, wow.
Troop jackets and Troop sneakers with the crowns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
sure.
I do remember them.
Pretty cool.
So last question. Let's go COVID meal, and then, and what I mean by that is, listen, I don't know about Mike. I know Mike. Now we're all Italian guys here, so let's just exclude Italian out of the market here. But what is your go-to COVID meal while you were stuck in the house, right? Or even if you weren't, if you would be stuck in your house and it's all you could eat or make, what's in the house, what would be your COVID meal? Dave, what's your go-to COVID meal throughout this whole pandemic?
Oh, man, I wish you would have picked me last. Dude, I was very fortunate. My wife cooked awesome home-cooked meals. And I'll tell you, we went to Altamonte's and we got like their family butcher special. And they gave us all kinds of awesome meats, and we ate from there, and we were very fortunate. We ate very well, Tony, in my house, which I'm very lucky for.
Hey, man, that's good. No, listen, that's fine. I mean, I ate well too. But what was was that your favorite? What were we talking?
Yeah,
pork? We talking about steak.
No, it was steak. It was all different types of meat. They would give you a turkey breast. They gave you the steak, and I guess the sirloin was probably the best. I know it sounds whatever, but it was
okay, man.
I remember I'm tasting it right now as we're talking about it. It was awesome.
A little sirloin with a little garlic and butter sauce on the top.
Oh my gosh, that's delicious.
Yeah, it is. It's like melts like butter, man. It melts like butter. Googs, what do you got, man? COVID meal. What's your COVID meal, man?
Well, the COVID meal for me when the pandemic was my wife and I we just kept ordering Anthony's coal-fired pizza. It was like every week we would have one of those. And we'd be drinking wine and eating pizza, and I felt like that was like routine. We always went over there because it was like a short walk from my place. I would just walk, I would pick it up, grab a bottle of water, we'd go over there and have it ourselves. So, I mean, with Florida, it's a little bit different because the pandemic, everything was sort of wide open from the beginning and only shut down for a couple of weeks, right? So there were still people outside. There was, people walking around, and I just didn't really see that much of a difference to be honest with you. But everybody was sort of freaked out and. While the businesses were closed, and when they opened back up, people still had masks on and everything. So, it was different, but it wasn't different like the way you guys felt it up in the Northeast. I mean, you guys felt it because they just locked everything down, But for me, it was Anthony's coal-fired pizza.
Anthony's coal-fired pizza. Adam checking in say first. Wow, he said first schools I had in school were Sean Kemp's. The Sean Kemp's. You know what? I don't even remember what they look like. The Sean Kemp's. I do know Alpez is Grant Hills. I remember the Grant Hills.
Were Sean Kemp's? Were they like the Etonics? Remember the Etonics?
Oh my God, Etonics.
Was that them?
Why do I keep thinking they were they wearing pumps? Were they?
Maybe they were pumps.
Were Sean Kemp's shoes pumps for some reason? I keep thinking they were pumps. Oh wow! Look, wait, I got a picture. Oh wow, these are, I don't even know if I could rock these, man. Like Adam, please, are these what you were rocking, Adam? Because, what
brand are they, Tom? Are they Reebok? Are they Reeboks?
Yeah, look at these things. Look at these things. These are special. You got to be a special man, Adam, to wear them.
Whoa. They're pretty dope, dude. I remember those.
Do you? I don't like them, man.
Oh, yeah.
They were the Seattle green.
The Sean Kemp's. Yep.
The supersonic green. Look at that. I like it. Rick checking in says, what is Palante sandwiches? Amazing. Look at him. Look at Rick. Being different. Rick being different. Go Canes. Googs. Go Canes.
Yes, sir.
Did Sean Kemp enter the building? Yes, Trevor.
Yes.
Sean Kemp is in the building. He brought his whole family of 30 kids with him. But I shouldn't say that. Him and KG could probably sell at an arena alone with their families. But especially nowadays with only 3,000 in, 1,500 a piece. But as always, man, we're going to cut this off an hour 15 with an hour and 18. Fantastic night. This was fun. Like I said, when we have these special guests, we kind of give them the floor, allow them to share and bestow upon us not only their knowledge, but another side of them. Like you heard another side of Mark tonight, who's a very charismatic and funny kind of guy, and he's real, man, which is like all of us, right? We want that. We don't want the the suit and tie guy that comes in. I mean, what you see with Mark is exactly what you're going to see tomorrow. So check him out 6 to 7 every day. I will tell you, 6, it's an hour. It's a great listen, and then whether you're on the ride to work, it's on YouTube, it's on every social media platform out there. All you do is have to hit the button. He's got guests on every day, different guests all the time. Trevor says it's on Twitch. Yes, Trav, it's on Twitch. It's everywhere. Farzy Show. He does a great job. And then I think during the week, sometimes he's out. He's like out on like Market Street, like talking to people on the street, like he is. He's fantastic, man. Trevor says it's a great listen if you open an LA Fitness. Yeah, well, it's good one to listen to on the treadmill. But listen, as always, man, we appreciate all the support. Keep an eye out for that contest where we're giving away these bobbleheads. Pretty cool thing. And again, as always, Heat Ratio Sports, hit that subscription button, hit the notification bell. We're up to, I think, 10 shows now a week. And I have a couple more coming very, very soon. I got to get my ass moving. We got to get some images made and things of that nature. We may be having one more. So it looks like maybe by the end of April, we should have almost 15. So we're going to have a lot of shows here. Heat Ratio Sports, get you going all day, every day. But as always, from Mikey Good, Coach Dave Dixon, Tony Jigsaw Consolo, everybody have a fantastic week. Have a safe and healthy night, and we'll catch you next week.